What this system is going to turn investors, little mom and pop investors, into BlackRock level investors. Like this AI tool that came out is going to revolutionize how real estate is done. And I am nervous for some of these agents that don't catch up and keep up, because the technology that's knowing AI is not even necessary. It is a requirement right now. We're in that phase of transition. And I keep saying this is that phase where AI is very similar to the internet when it came into your house. First time you had a computer, this is the same thing with AI. Meaning it was so much stuff that was built on the back of computers, and there's going to be so much stuff built on the back of AI. But the moral of this story is if you do not use AI, you will be deceived by AI. And I got a bunch of ways to prove it to you. But let's start by talking about this real estate tool.
Happened, but this was
all right. So I'm jumping into it right here. So just to give you perspective, this is Property Play. You see already, CNBC. RealAi.com. I had no idea what RealAi.com was. I didn't know about the CEO. I didn't know about the invention. I didn't know any of this. And when he sent it to me, dude, I have not stopped running statistical analysis. I have not stopped pulling up information. This is so different than anything that we've ever encountered, and it's changing, I would say, the way that real estate is done. And I want to get right to how to describe it.
Learned from that experience and why you moved from crowdfunding into more traditional types of funds.
To invent this idea of raising money on the internet for real estate, we went to the SEC. We took the deal; it was too risky, and so we moved to a fund model, and we started raising money for funds like BREIT, kind of similar to BREIT before BREIT existed. I always wanted to be the Blackstone of the internet.
Remember that.
And model. And now we have, $700 million loan from J.P. Morgan, a $400 million loan from Goldman Sachs. So you always want to find the next thing to do. And so 2 or 3 years.
I watched the whole thing, so I'm trying to get right to that point.
Years ago, we started working on building a real estate AI product. And the whole goal was, how do you replace a human worker with artificial intelligence? And we spent 3 years doing that, and it's happening in real estate. It's going to happen in every sector. And so the product we've built, which we're rolling out today, is our exclusive launch. It's called RealAi, realai.com, and it does the work of a real estate analyst.
And it's for anyone.
Anyone can log in. Anybody can use it. It's you're talking about bringing, I think, some of the most sophisticated analysis data to anybody everywhere.
And what exactly is this going to do for me? I mean, I sign on. It's going to analyze properties. It's going to help me invest if I have the money to invest or decide where I want to invest into one of your funds. But on a basic level, I assume there's some kind of charge for this. You got to be making money, right?
Well, it's free for the first dozen or so uses, and then we have a standard plan that's only.
So let me give you perspective, a little bit more perspective. Right now in real estate, whenever you're looking for a deal, when you're trying to gather information, realtors have actually been gatekeepers for a lot of that information coming from the MLS. And on the back end of most of these real estate MLSs, you have companies like CoreLogic, which provides information, data. So you're able to find out what homes sold recently, and even down to the neighborhood, what the schools are graded at, what are the schools in the area. So you're able to see that through the back end of most of these MLSs. Now, we're in Georgia. We've got First MLS. Where I'm at in Atlanta, we got First MLS, and we got Georgia MLS. And these, it's crazy, are the 2 MLSs just for the one city of Georgia, okay, and the surrounding area. Insane, crazy. But we have it, and this is what we got, right? So when you get this information and you go in and you're doing analysis for a fix and flip for an investor, or you're trying to find out if this is the best place for him to actually buy in, and you may believe, but he asks you some questions like, what are the crime stats in that area or other things like that. Historically, we would have to go through multiple pieces, put the information together, and present it in a way that the investor, the buyer, or even the seller understood. So it was left to us to break that information down. And in breaking it down, our hope was that we were able now to either show them it was a good deal or it was a bad deal. RealAi.com changes all of that. So if you're an investor, an agent, or you're trying to even get into real estate, or let's say, for example, you're trying to sell real estate, this is why I say this is the BlackRock tool for small investors, even real estate agents. It doesn't matter.
Like $50 a month, $60 a month, and sort of goes up from
so
there.
like ChatGPT or something like
Right,
that.
right.
But then when you talk about what it can do for me like that, how is it any different from ChatGPT?
So I sometimes call it ChatGPT for real estate, but it's very different because it's something new. This is something when we spent a lot of time building it, I hadn't seen anybody doing this. So typically with AI, it's you're using AI to reason, do research, do sort of thinking for you. But what we did is we went out and built a database of now 3.5 trillion data points of all the real estate knowledge you would want.
What is that knowledge?
So that's every property in America. We actually put in something really new, which every person in America, people data, which I want to talk about that. We have 10, 11 million units. We track them every day. So the goal is to create a huge amount of sort of background facts that you can then use as infrastructure for the AI that does the reasoning. So, for example, if you go in and ask ChatGPT, what rents should I charge at this apartment building? Let's say 111 Main Street. It's not going to know because it doesn't track rents like we do. We track every rent in every unit in every building for apartments in the nation, and so RealAi can tell you, here's what every one of your competitors are charging. Here's how long it takes to lease a unit, how long it's been vacant, what the leasing efficiency is, what the leasing velocity is. We've done all this modeling. So that's basically really new.
And so other companies like, say, JLL, which have large AI platforms built out that do some of the similar type of stuff, you have to be a client or you have to be an employee of that company in order to use it. You can't just be the common person.
Right. Anybody can go to realai.com. And I think that if I'm talking to real estate people, everybody needs to, because if you are not adopting AI today, you're going to be made obsolete. Your career's at risk, your company's at risk. This is the biggest change in my lifetime, probably the biggest change in anybody's lifetime. There's a lot of questions about how big it's going to be. I think we need to move past that, and we got to get to, okay, it's big, what am I going to do about it?
And you're going to lose if you're not in it.
I mean, it's going to affect you whether you like it or not.
All right, let's bring this down to a street level, okay? Because I want to be able to show exactly what it does. So let's say I want to invest in a multifamily apartment building somewhere in the South. I want it to be in maybe an up-and-coming neighborhood. I don't want it to be super pricey. I don't have a ton of money, but I want to see good returns. I want medium risk. I'm asking RealAi, where do I invest? What building do I buy? What street?
Yeah, you're really good at this prompting here. So the thing is, we have every property, every market, every person in America, and we can talk about the people data because it's really interesting. So
Did you get what he said? They have every property, every market, every piece of real estate in America. Now look how they tier it.
You could ask RealAi, okay, I want alpha. I want to generate
Wait, what's alpha? I want
to have great returns. I want to generate returns that are above market.
And premium. I want to invest in the South.
And I want to invest in, you're saying the South, so you might start with asking, where's the fastest growing markets? So one of the things RealAi has that's new that nobody else has is we track every person in America, so we know who's moving and where they're moving to. So we'll say, okay, 150,000 people moved to this area. Their average age was 42 years old.
They're able to track your U-Haul car rentals. And they do it. They probably do it by also utility activations. So we were able to do that in the security side when we knew a house, if somebody moved into a house, you can tell even from their name, the back end of the system would actually provide the name of the person who recently turned on utilities, water, electrical, or even gas. So we were able to solicit them for either current alarm systems or future alarm systems. They're taking that information and they're tiering that on already the data that agents already have on the back end. Agents don't have access to that. We don't know when a house is moved. Most agents, depending on the municipality, they don't know that a house sold until they actually look in the tax records and it shows that it's changed addresses. So until it showed that it changed addresses, we don't even know that it's sold. They're tiering all of this public information on top of the data that we already get as real estate agents.
Leaving, we're 37 years old, their average median income, you have real-time data about who's moving and where they're moving down to the city block. So you can really get smart of the where question based on all the movement of people in America.
So I'm putting in where is the fastest growing market in addition. So my prompt is I want to invest in the South, I want to invest in multifamily, medium risk,
right.
High return, fast growing market. What else do I put in my prompt?
Right, and then after that.
So if you're watching this, listen, we're talking about realai.com, which is, I think, the next, not even the level for anyone looking to get into real estate, an agent, if you're an investor, if you already buy properties, if you're trying to scale to be property, it doesn't matter. I asked this system a couple questions about the markets I deal in. My question was simple. How do I get a 10% cap rate? What's on the fastest growing counties in Georgia? Tell me what the top 2 fastest growing counties are and the best fit for multifamily homes if I want to buy. It gave me everything. Information that it would normally take anybody doing an analysis on real estate, and they're trying to buy or they're trying to help someone or whatever the case may be. It would take hours to gather this. I got this in minutes.
Once you figure out where, you figure out what. And so because we're tracking every property, every unit in America, you can say where are the units that are mispriced. If you have a building where you have a rent that's $2,000 a month and everybody living there making $200,000 a year, right? That rent's probably under market. Because you have all the people data, which is really, I think, for the first time.
What is the people data?
Yes, let's talk about that. So, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, Google, and you're talking to your husband in your case, and maybe you look at it and Instagram shows you an ad, and uncannily it's exactly what you're talking about.
Of course.
Right?
Been there.
How did they
Been
know?
there, bought that.
Yeah, how do they know? So what's happening is the internet actually has a ton of data about people, cookies, your spending on your credit card, all sorts of stuff is actually available to the big hedge funds, to the big tech. It's never been available.
It's all legal.
It's all legal. They're all using it, but it's never been brought into real estate. So we brought in data about everything. Let's say what you're spending. Do you have an iPhone? Do you go on Reddit? Do you like to eat at a Greek restaurant?
Oh, what you spending? You guys don't understand how crazy that is. Before now, we could not tell what people were spending in a certain area in real estate, even with agents and all the tools they had available. So how can we target this area and truly know that this is a high income area and this is what they buy? Do they have multiple homes coming out of that neighborhood? Like, do the owners have multiple homes? This is so many tiers to this, I'm telling you.
I mean, what's your FICO score? What's your income? What's your wealth? All that data.
So you can say who's living in this building, and it'll say the median income. It'll say how educated they are. It'll say something about their credit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like an interesting fact is like you can look at a building. I have this theory that buildings that are majority women actually will end up being a better asset to own.
Well,
so you can,
of course.
Yeah, so you can look at gender. You can look at age.
I didn't need AI to tell me that.
Yeah, right. I mean, so you can actually now
building with more women. You guys got a lot more work to do. So I've seen women hiring work guys to come in because they're trying to actually keep up with all of that.
Bring people data into the decision, because one of the big challenges for real estate the last few years is you'd buy a property and the tenants there'd be a lot of tenant fraud. This is the type of stuff that I've talked to some of the big asset managers, Blackstone, Angelo Gordon, TPG. Some of them have dedicated machine learning teams. Most people do not. Our team is at least as good, if not better than theirs, and it's available to every person in America.
So, great. Sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be able to pick my building in 5 seconds. There's got to be mistakes, right? There's always mistakes in AI. How do you guard against mistakes? What makes me know that this is really true and good data. And finally, you talked about, Facebook and some of the places where you get your people data. You get property records, obviously, from public records, but there's a lot more to it. Where do you get this data? Very basically, where do you get it, and how do I know it's good data?
Yeah, so you're asking two different questions. The first, people are used to AI making mistakes. And so what we've done is we've split the facts from the reasoning. AI, which is like, everybody's familiar with OpenAI, Anthropic, is really good at thinking about things. But when you want to have it go get facts, the same way when you think about something, you say, okay, when did this property sell and how much did it sell? You go on the internet, you find maybe on Zillow, you maybe go on CoreLogic, you find a table that's got the sales price and the date.
I can go to the census, I can get all that.
That is a fact, and that's basically a cell in a table in a database. That's how facts are gotten by people or AI, with RealAi, and that's how we get facts. That's why it's facts, not theory. With AI, normally it's a probabilistic. It basically it looks at what's likely rather than what is. So we've combined sort of the power of the reasoning of AI with like the sort of traditional database structure where you get facts, and that's how we do it. The second question is where we get our data. I mean, we get our data from everywhere. There's data brokers. You can get data from. Obviously we model the census. There's so many places you can get data. It's such an interesting thing that real estate people. I went to one of the biggest data sellers. There's all these big companies that sell data, and they said to me, "It's funny. I sell my data every major hedge fund, and I've only had one real estate company ever buy data from me."
Wow.
And I was like, "Who's that?" Blackstone.
That's why I say this is the Blackstone. This evens out the playing field for private investors, people that want to get into the business. Even if you want to study real estate and you just want to know, man, down the line, a year from now, I'm going to target this area. RealAi.com that's the tool I'm using, period. And I work with acquisitions, I work with dispositions, I work with investors, with portfolios. I literally, when I found this out yesterday, I reached out to some of my key investors and I said, pick this up. Go ahead and add this in. You don't have to become a professional in it. I will use it and break it and break it and break it and put it back together and break it. But you should know what it is and actually how to call upon it. Now, some agents, this is going to mess up agents, because when we say agents, property managers, who else? Even real estate attorneys, doesn't matter. When we say AI is taking over, AI is not going to put you out of your job. The people who know how to use tools like this will put you out of your job. They'll do it really fast. Never in history have we been able to take personal data coming from as deep down as FICO scores and come up with stacked information that gives us some type of reasonable result. I mean, you're closer to getting the answer. And even now when we talk about it, and I am a believer in it, and I keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying it. The market is shifting. We're in a buyer's market, no longer a seller's market. And if I was a buyer and I wanted to buy, and I wanted to know 5 years I bought it from now, will it project? What's the projected appreciation in it, or what is the possibility that I have higher appreciation based on the current climate or even future climate changes, or pivoting and saying, hey, for marginal, if I'm going to say there's a potential that down the line this and this can happen, how will it affect this area? There's never been a tool like this, and I've used ChatGPT, I've used Gemini, I've used it to do property analysis on things, and I thought I was doing something great. No, this is a different level of game.
I was going to say, of course. All right, so let's say this works. Let's say this just is revolutionary in the marketplace for the individual regular investor out there. How does it change the marketplace? How does it change how the big institutional firms work? And how does it change what we see in the future of real estate investing?
Yeah, I think there's three big changes. First, I have had some beta customers, and they were telling me, one of the guys I work with, or friends with, is Chris Rising, Rising Realty, and he said he was going to hire a dozen real estate analysts, and now, because of RealAi, he's probably going to hire half as many. So there's a huge saving, but it's also a big impact on the way the workforce works. That's one. So that's been happening. Two is that another one of my friends, Christina Linden, who was at BlackRock and also Angela Gordon, she's launched her own platform. She said, I used to be at these huge institutions. I had all this infrastructure. RealAi basically provides that for me at 1,000th of the cost. And then lastly, it drives. Simon Ziff is another one of our sort of beta customers, and Simon said the speed of due diligence, the deal-making speed, is now going to accelerate because of AI.
And the deal-making speed that's the key right there. So when we're out and I'm looking for houses for an investor of mine or, a group, or just buying for the company, when I look at it, if I am sitting down looking at a house, the people walked me through it. I said, I'm going to bring you an offer. I got to get back home if I'm out there in the field. Do the breakdown on what the values could be. I mean, I have a sense going into it what everything looks like. But this tool now makes it in collapse time. So we can bid and beat anyone else out faster. We can get to the offers and get the offer out there faster than some of the other people. This is a game changer. It is not the same. People will look at this, I believe, and probably think that this is, this is just a normal thing. This is what happens. It's just another piece of technology. I'm going to tell you it's not.